Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Ives number FB31P. We've got the FB31P, so let's dissect the part number. FB stands for flush bolt. Okay, that's pretty obvious. The 31 is representative of the fact that this is a set of automatic flush bolts. Typically used in steel doors. And the P means pair. You're going to get a pair of these, the top and the bottom. So let's look at all the parts. You have your top assembly, okay, your trigger. When the active door closes is what fires that to lock. Same way with the bottom assembly. They are different. They're not made the same way. Gravity forces these to work differently depending on the orientation, so they're definitely not correct. If you were to try to mix them, always order them correctly. You could get the FB31T for top, or B for bottom, or P for pair, such as what we're looking at now. The unit that we have here is shown in the 32D stainless steel, satin stainless steel finish. These are the cover plates. These are the blue that you see is just a peel-away protective film, but this is the 32D satin stainless steel. You're going to get your bolt packages, threaded rods, and your bolt heads. Okay, and you're going to get all of the attachments that you'll need. The screws. You're going to get a strike plate. You're going to get the guide that needs to be mounted right here in the door so that the bolt is safely in location. You're also going to get the contact plate. You'll get two of them, which is this angled plate, scar plate, so that when the active door strikes the inactive door, let's say if you had obviously a finished painted door, you don't want the trigger of the flush bolt scarring the edge of the door and the face of the door for that matter. So reviewing this material, what we see here is that the bolts have a 3/4 throw with a 5/8 vertical adjustment, and that's going to be very appropriate for requirements for fire-rated doors where you need to have a specific length of throw. The 3/4 throw with a 7/8 adjustment will allow you to work with all standard sorts of undercuts at the bottom of a pair of doors. Standard rod length is 12 inch, and what that means is it's measured from the center of the latch face, the center down to the bottom of the door. So when this is threaded in, you'll have 12 inch. Well, to the bottom of the door, not the bottom of the rod. And that is generally the bolt tip as well, because when that guide is installed down here, you'd have 12 inch. Okay. Available in several different finishes. These are. And let's review the link to the template now. The template is very straightforward. The fact of the matter is, if you have a pair of metal doors that you are installing into your application, you would order the doors manufactured from the factory to come already prepped for these sorts of flush bolts. You would not retrofit these after the fact, especially if it's certainly a fire-rated application that would need to be ordered from the factory for your installation. But before we go into the template and how to, and everything dimensionally important about the flush bolts, let's go over the operation of what these are. First of all, these flush bolts are considered fully automatic, meaning inactive door is latched and the bolts are extended when the active door closes. The door is unlatched, bolts retracted when the active door is opened. Okay. That is a very typical and common sort of installation that you're going to have when an active door is opened. The inactive door can then be pushed open. You might have a hospital, and you'll have pairs of doors, and it will become necessary to get both doors opened to move, someone on a stretcher. Food service in the basement of a hospital would be a great example of this. Low actuation force, Ives says, meaning that the top bolt doesn't have any spring tension, and that's inherently why it's different. And really all you're relying on is that active door closing meaning the door closer is going to push it closed. Push that trigger in, forcing the arm up, and there's no spring up here. And as the door closes, it's just going to be that closing action that forces that up. And then, of course, gravity will take over when the door is opened, pulling the latch back down. That's why the bottom is different. The bottom, needs to be retracted, back up when the door is opened. So that's why you have a spring forcing it up. It fits into the standard door preparation, which we'll go over in a minute. They're completely non-handed, which is accomplished by how the trigger is able to be approached from either side, and of course the symmetrical design of it. The bolt throw again is 3/4 inch with a 7/8 vertical adjustment. That is accomplished by the rotation of the bolt itself. Now also with these you can get different rod lengths, which are very common. So in this is not the top, but in your top application, if you had a 8-foot door, you'd probably want something longer than 12-inch, but not necessarily. You can certainly, being the fact that it's automatic, you don't really ever have to get your hands on it in order to manually flip it. But you can get the top bolt only in a non-fire rated application, 18, 24, 36, and 48-inch long, center to the top sort of applications. But non-fire rated only because those longer bolt lengths have not been tested for fire rated applications. The Ives DP1 and DP2 are dust-proof strikes, which go typical with this material. And people use the dust-proof strikes in the floor sort of setting. You might have a condition by which you have that same hospital and the cleaning crew comes through and cleans the floor. The dust-proof strike being spring-loaded seals off the top of the area when the bolt is not projecting down into it, so that it prevents debris from getting inside of there. And then when enough debris gets compacted in there, it does not allow the bottom flush bolt to operate correctly. Now, dimensionally, there is a link on the item to the template. Let's take a look at that now. And these sorts of flush bolts are really easy because they're a standard sort of stock design. In that the 6 3/4 by 1, you can see there is the size of the body. So it's 6 3/4 by 1. That makes it an incredibly common, generic sort of preparation. And that size, along with the preparation behind the unit, makes it compatible with that ANSI A115.4 door and frame preparations. So sending your... But regarding the preparation for this, again, if it's a pair of fire-rated doors, you'll want to have the factory prep or your door supplier make these for that application. Now, these are often used in non-fire-rated openings as well because of that reason earlier. They become very functional, meaning you open one door and you know that you can automatically open up the other door. Now, keep in mind with an item like this, because fire code tells you that both doors need to be, latched, certainly. Depending on the code, the specific code, your inactive door may not need to have a door closer. Depends on the application. Something to the effect that if you had a pair of doors on an electrical panel vault, something very shallow in the corridor of a condo building, you'll have a pair of doors. Those doors need to be latching and closing, but the inactive door, in my understanding, doesn't necessarily have to have a door closer. However, you'll need to have some sort of way by which the active door will be closed first. So a coordinator is very generally required as well that will hold up the active door from closing all the way with its door closer until the inactive door is closed first, which would mean a door closer as well. So keep in mind, if it's fire rated, you've got to provide the balance of the hardware to make sure that you're completely compliant with fire rated code. But in those non-fire rated applications where people want it just for ease of use of the door opening, you'll want to also make sure that your installation is correct, meaning that if your door, if you've got two doors and your active door closes first, the inactive door will not latch properly if its door closer tries to close the door. So you probably want a coordinator when you have all automatic flush bolts, just so that both of your doors actually latch closed. Anyway, there's too many ways to really determine which is the appropriate way for your application. Looking at the rest of the templating, there's really nothing else to discuss unless you have questions specifically about prepping it. Feel free to reach out to us. But all the other parts are there. The strike is a common sort of strike, etc. Ives is a full-line manufacturer of all things trim and auxiliary hardware related, and pairs of automatic flush bolts is something that they are very well known for. But not only that, of course, push and pull hardware, kick plates, door stops, etc. Any questions on the Ives FB31P set of automatic flush bolts or any other Ives product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.